So, how did you come to focus on parenting within the climate conversation? Was it becoming a parent that shifted your perspective, or had the seeds been there earlier?
I think it was really a little bit of both. I was a food systems reporter for a long time, so I was already very much talking about how climate change was affecting the food that we eat and what farmers were able to produce. After I had my child in 2018, I kind of started looking for like resources, thinking about, well, what type of skills is she going to need to live in the world as it's changing? I wasn't so worried about how I talked to her about climate change, just because as a communicator, that wasn't something that I felt like I really struggled with. But really, what I found was that there was a lot of information out there on how we talk to kids about climate change, but there wasn't that much information about the type of skills that they were going to need, or just what to do in your everyday life to really raise kids who would be flexible and resilient to what was coming. So that was really kind of what started me down this path.
I know as adults, this topic can already feel very overwhelming, and it's something that our children are inheriting, and they'll be taking the fight forward. So, how do we face the realities of the situation that we're in, and the decisions that have to be made without, shutting down? And how do we model, I guess, resilience and clarity when explaining these issues to children?
Yeah, I think that's so hard, right? It does feel like such a big, overwhelming issue. And I think for a lot of people, what I've heard is they're very concerned about climate change, but they don't know what they can do. And so, in a lot of my writing, I've kind of focused on the little everyday things that don't feel like they're, making a huge difference, but are in fact like little things that are driving systematic change. And so that's really what I have focused on, whether it's thinking about like the types of food you eat or the types of products that you're buying. And I think that those things can drive larger systematic change.
Mm. And I know you break the book down into four broad parts or themes,
Hmm.
um, and I love the titles of them. So it's feel, love, build, and act, which I guess are
Right.
great themes for children, but things we can all also focus on as well.
Um,
Could you walk us through each of those four elements and how they relate to parenting in a climate crisis?
Of course. So the first section, feel, is really about, again, thinking about how we talk to kids about climate change, but also how we talk to our friends and our neighbors, because there's a lot of research out there that kind of shows that the more we talk about climate change, the more people will think about taking action. And then that other part of that first section is really dealing with climate emotions, right? So, how you process your own emotions around climate change, how you help your kids process their emotions. From there, the love section is really about sort of fostering this love for nature and how that kind of plays into being an environmental steward. So, it talks about spending time in nature, also just spending time with like the family pet and how that can relate to kind of climate resilience, and really thinking through curiosity. The next section build starts to go into the everyday actions that people can take themselves. So there's a whole chapter on food, because for a lot of people, that's the biggest thing that they can do. There's also a chapter on kind of consumerism. And then from there, the next part of the book is really about kind of more systematic change. So, kind of community action and activism overall, and really what happens in our kids' schools too.